Good evening, folks. Good evening. Good evening. It is Thursday night, April 15th. I hope you all got your taxes in and you are watching Uncle Charlie Live right here at UDR Productions Go Love Team. Got my man, Dog, Brother David, working the boards tonight. And we have a great topic for you. It is called Don't Take Life for Granted. Your community is calling you. Of course, those of you who might notice, my Donate Life banner we have decided to take down. It's a little bit of a distraction, the colors, but I just want to say real quick, April is Donate Life Month. Those of you who are not familiar with that term, okay, you will be familiar with it next Friday. That's right. Next Friday, we will be at the Old City Hall in Bridgeport at 11 o'clock. That's right, 45 Lions Place in Bridgeport, around the corner from the Bridgeport Police Station. We will be flying the flag high of Donate Life. And if you don't know what it means, it is New England Donor Services. That's right, the organ bank, the ones that saved my life 8 years ago when I had a heart transplant. Second chance of life, folks, gift of life. You got to know what to do with it. And we're just going to start off a little bit like this. To serve God is to serve others. And it is the greatest form of charity, the pure love of Christ. Jesus said in John 13, verse 34, a new commandment give unto you, that ye love one another as I have loved you, and that ye also love one another. Serving others makes you feel happy. It makes you feel glad. It makes you feel a sense of enjoyment. It releases the endorphins. That's right, the endorphins in your mind because you're serving others. It also helps you bring about good mental health, your spirituality, the emotional well-being, or your own self-esteem. That's right. When you serve others, you're not only serving God, you're pleasing yourself. So we're gonna talk about this a little bit. We're not gonna take too much time. For one reason, I have got a dinner date this evening with my lovely fiancée, Darlene. And I got to make sure that I'm home on time. But we're going to try to squeeze as much knowledge in the short amount of time that we're going to be on this evening, talking to you beautiful people out there in YouTube land. And like I said, the topic was don't take life for granted. Your community is calling you. And I'm going to tell you how I came up with that topic. Today I was watching YouTube, as I sometimes do, and I scroll through things, and I happened to catch Akeisha's show. Good evening, hon. How are you? And she had on a gentleman by the name of Coach Brown, who most of you are probably familiar with. And he was talking about how he helps these young, that he talked about was acquiring the funds sometimes when times are hard. And I had said a comment particularly about the community. Well, why isn't the community helping more? And the reason I said that was because I remember a time. Now, remember, folks, too, you young people out there, okay? I'm 56 years old. I'll be 57 in November. Scorpio, but I am thinking. I remember a time when the city government that you lived in through your taxes and through the goodness of others who had local businesses in the community that you lived in, they paid for the schools to stay open 3 times a week. I used to go, my father was a head custodian of Turner River Middle School in Stamford, Connecticut. I used to go there, spend time with my father at night. Plus, I used to play basketball, so my father would help me practice on my free throw shots. Those of you who saw the NCAA finals know that that is key. It could help you win a game or lose a game. And when I heard these young kids, basically he has to go out and beg for money sometimes to acquire these funds. And I'm like, well, why the hell isn't the city doing something? I know people are fighting out there for that dollar. I'm not, I'm not ignorant to that cause. But if you have the police department, I remember that had PAL, and you had a lot of other different organizations that supported their own. You had Hispanic organizations, you had Italian organizations, Polish organizations, but they still had kids of every color in their organizations. If they couldn't pay for it, they would pay for it. It was talking about giving back, not only serving your God, but giving back to your community. Because if you have these things for the young folks that are out there now, they're not going to be doing the foolishness in the streets that has been going on for a long time. Give back, serve others. Stop thinking about the last 400 years, so to speak. And we know what happened the last 400 years. We know how we were brought here. I'm fully aware of the slavery that started in 1649 when the first African slave hit this continent. But folks, we have to stop it. Yes, there are continually bad things that are happening to us, especially as young black men, even older black men out there today, by different functions of the so-called society. But folks, I'm going to break it down to you tonight. You can't keep throwing the past up in somebody's face, because sooner or later it's going to turn on you. As I read a lot of different periodicals and websites and how the racist tendencies have, again, infiltrated law enforcement, infiltrated the armed services, factions of our local, federal, and state governments, because we had our thoughts elsewhere and we weren't concerned about our voting rights. Or once we got the Martin Luther King holiday, we didn't have anything else to focus on. Now that reparations has been the big topic of discussion, it's like we still forget that we have to live in today's society, in today's world. If you look at the continent of Africa, which a lot of people love to say, yes, I'm from Africa, I'm an African American. But the continent of Africa has a lot of rich minerals, have a lot of rich natural resources that others have gone, taken, raped, pillaged, and plundered. But what do we do here? We complain. How are you, DJ? How are you, Vivacious? God bless. What do we do here? My father always used to say, make sure if you have a home in a particular neighborhood, don't make sure that it does not look like you're the only black on the block, because of the stereotypical things that they would say about us and they would say about other cultures or people of color. We have to stop, folks. We have to stop this nonsense. Okay? On today's show with Akeisha, she always has a theme of voting. Okay? That we have to go out there and vote. We have to make sure that the young people vote. And that's a beautiful thought. But think about this. When others who come to this country, what is the first things that they do? They get them citizenship, or on the road to citizenship, they make sure that they can speak English properly. So that already beats us here because they're bilingual. That they get a good job, start to pay their taxes, and become a respectable person in the community. We have to learn to give back, folks. A lot of us got stimulus checks, but let me ask you one question. After you paid your bills, after you might have gotten that little thing that you wanted, maybe it was a TV, or maybe it was something else, piece of furniture. Maybe you couldn't have taken the trip because of COVID, but you understand what I'm coming from. Did you give anything back to maybe an organization that helped you as a child, that helped your particular community? Did you look back and say, well, I see that this particular organization has been asking for money, and you know something, they do a lot of good work. Why don't I give $50 or 25 or 100 if you could afford it, just so they can keep their doors open? Like I talked about last week, Wade's Dairy. You hear at least twice a month that they are giving away boxes of food for people. Don't even have to get out of their car. Just if you have a family, you don't know how you're going to feed them, they'll put the food in the trunk for them. And I was also told if you need something and you got one of those little carriages, you could just roll up and get it then. That's called taking care of your community. That's called somebody who has made it doesn't forget where he came from or they came from. You hear about a lot of NBA players or a lot of NFL players or baseball players giving back to their respectable communities because they did not forget who took care of them when they needed taking care of. LeBron James is especially one proud man who should be respected by all cultures. What that young man has done, not only with his life, but what he is doing for the lives of other young people, not only in the community of Akron where he grew up in, but other communities around this country. That's called giving back, folks. And he doesn't have to do it. He could have just, when the off season is, go on vacation with his family and do whatever. But he doesn't. He's always in somebody's face saying, what can I do to help you? Let's stop talking about the last 400 years, folks, and let's start talking about these 400 years that are coming forth now. What are you going to do to help others in their strives to have a better relationship with God, maybe have a better relationship with their wives, their husbands, their children, their community? I'm just going to show you a couple of things that make me proud. Of course, you all know about Donate Life, the organization that helped me and others, not only around this great country of ours, but around this great world, get a second chance at life through organ donation. Doesn't cost you anything. All you have to do is have a need. And if you are number one priority for your particular organ, or if you know somebody that has a particular need, just find out more. You can Google Donate Life, folks. They're not a hard organization. They have been around for a very, very long time. Very long time. We want to talk about what you can do. The best thing that you could do is become an organ donor. www.registerme.org and help your fellow individual, because the life that you may save may be somebody else's. Isn't that called serving too? These badges that you see here, I have been a election official since I turned the age of 18. No, excuse me, 19. I was recommended in my particular hometown of Stamford, Connecticut, to volunteer through my mother. My mother was a teacher, and they asked her, would your son be willing to volunteer? And she said, yes, no problem. Well, you want to call him up? She goes, I don't have to call him up. He's going to volunteer. My father woke me up when I turned 18 and said, son, what you going to do today? I said, Pop, I really don't know. I guess just relish the feeling. He goes, no, I'm going to tell you what you're going to do. You're going to get up. You're going to take a shower. You and I are going to drive down to the government building. And first, you're going to register for the draft. And then you're going to register to vote. You see, my father was a Korean War veteran. A lot of you might have people who have served this country in military service, whether in previous wars or in non-war years. Maybe you have a son, a daughter, a nephew, a niece, a neighbor or neighbor's child, maybe a godchild that is in service of this country. I know I have plenty of relatives that have served this country proudly. I know we have some problems here, but right now, I'll tell you, this is the best thing we know that's going around the world. I don't know how to live anyplace else. This is where I was born. This is where my child was born. This is where I got married. And soon, hopefully, to be able to get married again. But I love the country that I was born in. Why am I going to go around the world when I still haven't seen places here? Travel. When they talk about family reunion, most of you are going to another state. Probably most of you are going down south, where a lot of our roots are. Or maybe you're going towards the Midwest, Chicago, Detroit, Texas, maybe even the deeper south like Louisiana, maybe even out to California. But the fact is, you're going back because you want to know how you were brought here, not just by your mommy and daddy. You want to know about your aunties, your uncles, your grandfathers, your great-grandfathers. Okay, yes, Texas. Yeah, my buddy Jody Grassley. Hello, down there in the great state of Texas down there. Thank you, DJ. I will tell you, we have so many beautiful things in this country to see. And hopefully with COVID opening up more, that we're going to be able to reestablish going and visiting a museum or visiting a different state. One place that I was looking forward to visit last year was the African American Museum, which is now part of the Smithsonian on the mall. Did not get a chance to see it. The museum is still closed. A lot of you probably haven't had a chance to see it. And we always talk about, well, they never have anything for us. They never have it. This is a building they do have for us. Other cultures are learning about us. But if you want to support something, support that. Support your local leaders or find out who your local leaders are. A lot of you don't know. But I know a lot of people like to complain when something's not done. And the first question I ask them, did you vote? No, I didn't vote. Why am I going to vote? Then I don't want to talk to you. There's no reason to talk to you. Because the basic fact is, how are you going to complain if you're not part of the system? You're only part of the problem. And we see what can happen November in the state of Georgia, when a whole lot of pissed off people got mad and went to the polls. And two unprecedented things happened. They elected a Jewish man for senator, and they elected a black man for senator to represent the state of Georgia. And now they're talking about how the rules have to be changed. Now, the rules don't have to be changed. What has to be changed is educating people more about how they need to participate in the procedures. Now, listen, the country did not start off great. The country did not start off giving anybody rules but white men. But then what happened? The Reconstruction era came and found out they had to give the vote to black people. But they decided around the turn of the century, we'd rather give the vote to white women than give the vote to all blacks. And still, we had segregation in the South. But eventually that had to change, and it was a Southern Texas governor that changed it. And his name was Lyndon Baines Johnson. Now, who would have thunk that? Oh, yes, folks. we have to keep changing because the fact is the world keeps changing. Like I said, to serve God is to serve others, and it is the greatest form of charity, the pure love of Christ. Well, if God is the one that tells you you have to serve, then serve. It's better to serve others than not to serve anybody at all. And let me tell you, I did a show about 7 years ago. It was called I Was Prepared to Die at the age of 48. I told that to Dog prior to us going on the air tonight. And I said, Dog, I said I had to revisit parts of my life. I said that I didn't want to revisit. And I said, I'll tell you, yeah, I had a life and a lifestyle that was a whole lot different than a whole lot of people that I've met. But the fact is, God not only slowed my life down through changes in my health, changes in my income, changes in my zip code, and sometimes changes in residence. But the fact is, he wanted me to know to be appreciative of the life that I have and what my parents and aunties and uncles and grandmas and grandpas, what they all died for, to make a better world for you and your children, your generations. And you're going to sit back and worry about how much money you have or overlooking the ocean from an office view. Yeah, I had all of that. I was part of a company that I was going to be doing business with every Fortune 500 company on New Haven County and Fairfield County. New Fairfield is a city that my cousin used to live in. But then what happened the next day after I had signed the contract, 9/11, and my whole world changed. Had a 2-year-old child, lost my father. My father, he was only going to be alive for 1 more year. Marriage was really going in the crapper. Started turning to other substances to make my life a little bit happier, but it didn't. It didn't. Just like putting a Band-Aid on cancer. Eventually, you're just going to get sicker and sicker, and everything is going to blow up. But I am glad to say, my good folks that are listening tonight in YouTube land, is that the fact is, it gave me an opportunity to revisit my life, see what I did wrong and what I need to do right. And every day that I wake up with a purpose. That's to try to make life better for somebody else, not just me. If I can't help somebody, then what am I here for? I'm just taking up space. I'm taking up air. God called home a whole lot of people last year and still calling home some now. Matter of fact, a gentleman that had fed scores and generations of people, his grandfather and his father, and now him, a gentleman by the name of Gary Bamonte from New Haven at Pepe's Pizza. And I know a lot of you have probably eaten that pizza. Called him home. He wasn't even 60 or 62. But he did a lot of living during those 62 years of life. Made a whole lot of people happy. I'm only turning 57. And my job on this earth is still not done. And like I say to you this evening, what have you done to help your here? Do you do it a month, and maybe, hey, all the time? Some people who are retired have. But I will say this, folks, your prayers can be answered. Coach Brown, your prayers can be answered. And I'm pretty sure from the testimonies that you gave today and prior other times, your prayers have been answered. Somebody you said slipped you $500 just to keep the kids going. That's beautiful. And I'm glad, David, I'm glad to hear that we're going to be a partner with him. I think we need to be partners with a lot of people in this great big community of ours. I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of others that need our help, either through talking about it or self-promotion, but definitely getting the word out to the community. Folks, I just want to let you know something real quick. And I had been working, this was actually put in my hands about a week or two ago. So I really did not get a chance to put a full package together. But you see, God answers prayers. Like I have told you in the beginning of April, April is Donate Life Month. And I really did not think that we would be able to fly the flag. But like I stated earlier in the show, next Friday, April 23rd, we will be flying the flag high over the city again. We did not fly the flags over certain municipalities and states because the fact is of COVID. COVID shut down everything completely, but we're glad that things are opening up. We please ask that you wear masks and get vaccinated too. That's a big priority. To my people, I just say, listen, you could either be one of the living or you could be one of the dead. We have a vaccine right now. I've seen plenty of death out there from the COVID, but I've never seen as much hope as I have with the vaccines that have come through. I know what you've heard about Johnson & Johnson, okay? But the fact is 6 deaths out of how many millions that have been vaccinated is a very, very, I don't even think it's 0.5%. Yes, we still mourn those that did pass. But in my mind, those are angels that passed, because the fact is they also wanted to have a better life, give their families a better lives. And I certainly feel sorry for their children, but they gave the ultimate sacrifice, okay? We ask that you do too. Get vaccinated so we can get back to having our country, being able to travel. Nothing's ever the same. We know that. It's going to be very different going to ball games. It's going to be very different going to concerts. It's going to be very different going to the theaters or restaurants. But the one thing I do like about it, when you go to a restaurant now, when you have that barrier in between you, you don't have to hear other people's conversations. And I just want to say one other thing. This comes from Romans 12, and this is verses 9 through 13. Love must be sincere. Hate what is evil. Cling to what is good. Be devoted to one another in brotherly love. Honor one another above yourselves. Never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual favor serving the Lord. Be joyful in hope. Be patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Share with God's people who are in need. Practice hospitality. Folks, you're going to join us here next week, we hope, at Uncle Charlie's Corner, starting at 7 o'clock to 7:30. Also, tune in on Thursday mornings with Akeisha, on Tuesdays with my man MVP. All right. And my brother dog, David. Take us on home, folks. And remember, folks, keep the peace. We're going to have a verdict next week. We hope it's the right verdict. Okay? But if it's the wrong verdict, don't go crazy. Okay? Don't go crazy. We still have to live in this country. Uncle Charlie loves you. And until next week, God bless.